lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe, and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour. I'm Rick Schisler. I'm your host. I'm also a Silver Fox advisor and the founder of OneBestConsult.com. Well, thank you for taking time to listen to our show today. We're coming to you this morning from Conroe, Texas, in the heart of Montgomery County, a place where business is just booming. Let's cross our fingers it stays that way, because I've got a sense that we're slowing down a little bit here, but boy, you wouldn't know it when you drive down the road and see all the buildings being built, new homes being built, apartments being built. It's an amazing place to live and do business. Give you a little bit of news you can use to kind of start off the program. I encourage you to check out the latest copy of Community Impact. That's a local newspaper. It goes all over the Houston area, but it's broken down by regions or area. And the Community Impact is truly, I believe, a business reading source that everybody who is in business needs to be aware of. This past issue, they talked about senior living. That's hot in Montgomery County right now. Senior living facilities are being built and popping up everywhere. And it was kind of interesting to understand the philosophy behind them from a business point of view and what's going on. Apparently, people are moving to Montgomery County to retire. And that's an interesting twist on what's going on as far as our population growth. We have become now a place to retire on top of all the other great business opportunities we have. I've got a shout out I also want to give on a community, one of our local nonprofits. They've got a big gala coming up on December 21st. This is the It's Her Chance Foundation. It's Her Chance Foundation. And you can find out more about their gala at itsherchancefoundation.org. They work with veterans, and this year they've taken on 20 veterans' families to provide them, their children, the parents, with a good Christmas. So check it out, itsherchancefoundation.org. Well, as some of you who are regular listeners know, the Weekly Business Hour is where Montgomery County and businesses now throughout the world, due to the internet, come to talk about the latest in business news, ideas to improve your business, and be part of conversations that we believe can make a real difference in your business. I want to remind you as we get started today that the show is being broadcast live on Facebook as well as YouTube. Simply go to the Weekly Business Hour page, click on the button, and you can listen as well as watch the show. So it's a great opportunity if you like to watch and see who our guests, see our conversations, go to YouTube or Facebook. And also a general reminder, and I will remind you of this throughout the show, I like email. And why I like email is you tell me what you think about the show. You tell me what we need to change. You tell me what you don't like about the show. And most important, you tell me about your business challenge, and I will respond to you. And perhaps it'll even end up in what we call our mailbag, and we'll talk about it on the air like we're going to do for one of our listeners later in today's program. So please, drop us your email. Send it to that's the number 1, bestconsult@gmail.com. That's bestconsult@gmail.com. Well, now we're going to get going. All that aside, we have some great guests with us today, business owners, a newer business, which I always love to hear that story and hear about startups and hear about what they learned to do and not to do. So in the studio today, we have Shawna Campbell and Alex Jones of Manta Swim Academy. We're going to talk about their journey, the things they've done, what their focus is, and all about the Swim Academy. And I guess teaching swimming is kind of one of the core things you do. Good morning, and glad to have you here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us.
Well, the first question out of the shoot that I always ask anybody that comes on the show is give us a little bit of your business background, kind of what brought you to start this business and what your previous background that hopefully equipped you to start and build this business. Alex, you going to go first?
I guess I'll go first. Basically, myself and Shawna, we were sitting, just sitting around, I guess one Saturday afternoon, and over the pool watching the kids swim, and it just clicked to us. I mean, how important this is for kids, especially infants, to have this skill. And we, brainstormed together, and all of a sudden, Manta Swim Academy was formed.
So the business started around the pool, watching what a motivation, right? It's just clear. Shawna, is that story the way it happened?
Yes, we had an incident with one of my grandsons who had a non-fatal drowning, and that also helped build it. We've been teaching, both of us, for many years. I've been teaching swim for well over 20 years, but just as a fun side hustle. And it's something that we wanted to advertise, and so we needed to have an actual business. And so so he's correct that we sat around and we're like, well, what can we do? How can we change the statistics? And so Montgomery County doesn't have much, and so we decided that we were going to be the Montgomery County solution, hopefully.
That's interesting. So did I hear that you started this business as a sideline?
Yes.
To what you both had a day job, so to speak, as I like to call them?
Yes.
Okay. Are you still in your day job, or is this full time?
I am still in my day job. I have 4 years left before I can retire, and he's already retired.
Okay. So he's retired into a full time job. I like that.
Right.
Huh? Some people call that a second career.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Well, that's a good way to start, because always that leap of faith from, well, I'm going to finally quit the job and go do what I want to do. So
Yes.
that's pretty cool. Yeah. Well, the name Manta, we talked about that a little bit before the show started. What does that mean? Where did you get the name Manta Swim Academy from?
So, my previous job, I was in the Navy, and seen many sea creatures, and I seen a manta ray, which is a huge, majestic animal, and I'm like, it's fitting for what I think our business should be. So that's how we came up with the name.
Yeah, the manta ray I mentioned, I've seen pictures and films, and always wanted to get on the back of one and ride it, which you shouldn't do. But that, just like you say, very sleek, cuts
Right.
through the water, very much at ease, even though it's very big.
Right.
Just kind of gives a little flip, and it just seems to go.
Right.
Right. So that's a wonderful background on that name, though. That's very interesting of how you were able to do that. Well, I'm going to assume for a moment, correct me if I'm wrong, that you guys are partners in this business.
We are.
Yes, we are.
Okay, now are you all married, or are you just good friends? Or I have to ask because I love to have couples on the show. We had one last week, and it was wonderful, that blending of personal. But are you all partners in other senses or just in business?
We are in other sense as well.
Okay, well, cool. Now, how do you work through that? Because that's a challenge. Because I tried it, and my wife didn't like me. Okay, which I understood. Okay.
It's a challenge. I mean, the way we get through it is the separation of duties, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, and try not to step on each other's toes. Hey, this is my responsibility. If I see something that I think should be handled on her end, I'll just tell her instead of doing it, and vice versa. So we try to make things as simple as possible between us two.
Yeah, I think some of the what I read as successful couples in businesses, they have duties. They try to keep it square, and they really communicate. That's the one thing I picked. You get a sense of it when they were talking. Actually had a couple in here. They've got a very, very successful business. I happen to know that on a national basis now. And at 5 o'clock or 5:30, can't remember which one, the bell rings and the business is over.
Yeah.
The wife goes home, and she's a very important, active part of the business, not just the spouse who sits in the corner or answers the phone. But I actually had a separate interview with her, and she reaffirmed that. And I got a real sense that they were disciplined enough to You know, I grew up in a family business, and there was business discussion 24/7. I mean, I'm a kid and I'm learning business. And finally, the rules started to roll out. No discussion of business at the table for Thanksgiving, Christmas dinner. And then eventually it got to be, but you couldn't help it when the whole family got together because everybody was in the business.
Yeah.
Right.
And we just start talking about a little bit of this or that. So, yeah, it's important to have some guidelines
Right.
and I believe some rules that you can work with. How do y'all communicate? That's very important for partners in general. The communication strategy that you have to make sure you are on the same point, and going in the same direction. Is there a secret to that communication?
I don't think there's a secret. It's just that, something that we do. Maybe we just click that way, but it's just something that we do. And again, we're not afraid to speak to each other about the good and bad. We think the bad is just as important to know as the good about the business as well.
Your main communication tool is verbal?
It is.
That's interesting. That's a welcome news to me in the world where it's always texts and, this and that. And I get texts from my wife occasionally, and we're way past, we're old compared to texting, but of course from the children, that's the way they communicate, text. Right. And I can't even get an email anymore, So it's very interesting. So you've been successful in that communication. Let me ask you this question, kind of dig down a little deeper, and it's always interesting to learn, what is the most important source of information that you use in your business? What is the most important business information that you use?
Source of business information?
Well, it could be anything from how you teach your classes or your database. Typically, a lot of people, it's their database, their how they communicate with customers or other customers. But I'm always interested to hear what sources or resources people are using in their business that's important at this time.
So we are affiliated with Survival Swim Development Network.
Okay.
Which is it's a group of individuals. Matter of fact, we just left a conference here a month and a half ago, and they are nationwide, and they provide information. You have swim schools in Miami, swim schools up in Houston and Oklahoma, and so forth. We all get together and we share our stories on lessons learned. So they are a tremendous, huge source of information for us, especially just starting off. And we have a mentor who is based in Katy right now, which she helps us out a lot as well. And we're also affiliated with the American Red Cross. And the reason we decided to team up with them is because we think swimming and those vital life-saving measures, skills, and techniques, you can't divide the two. So we also teach first aid, CPR, AED, basic life support as well, because we feel that it's important for, especially a parent sitting around the pool, something happens, you have to be able to react properly to an incident, basically.
Yeah, you make an excellent point there. So what I understand is you're part of what I would call a round table, a group of business people in the same business, and you come together and share. And throughout my career, my business ownership, I felt that roundtables were of various names were just really important, at least once or twice a year, in my case, to get together and share, and came away with some ideas that made a huge difference in some of the businesses I was in. Right. And the mentor. Obviously, I'm biased because I do mentorship. We have 3 roundtables with the Conroe Chamber, and I'm the mentor of those and just make sure they stay on track. But I love doing mentoring and helping people build their businesses. So that's very, very important as well. So sounds like you guys are just clicked right in on that one for sure. Building relationships with customers. Any secret to that, or how do you go about it? What's your process of building relationship with first customers and then potential customers?
So with our customers, we're pretty close and comfortable with them because we're spending so much time with their children, which is the most precious thing in their life. So for me, getting to know the parents is just as important as getting to know the kids. And so we spend the first week of lessons getting to know the children and speaking with the parents. So our lessons are typically 15 minutes or 30 minutes. And so that first week, we're just chatting it up for 15 minutes a day or 30 minutes a day, whichever. So I find it easy to build a relationship with the parents. Potential customers, a lot of ours is word of mouth. And so mom over here goes and tells their friend, and they come, and then it's the same thing. That's pretty much how we get to know potential customers as well.
Well, let me ask you, do you do any kind of marketing? Do you have a marketing plan where you send information, messages out, mail, whatever form it takes, but do you have any kind of ongoing marketing that you do to existing or potential customers?
We do. We have Facebook, all the social medias. I don't run it because I'm not great at that, but we have somebody that runs that for us. We also have a website that's run by someone else as well. And then we do actually go out into the community. We're actually, right before the swim season starts, we go to a lot of the local apartment complexes, communities with pools, and they will ask us to come in and do speaking engagements or engagements with their community just to give a drowning prevention. And so then we get customers that way as well. And we actually swim in a couple of different neighborhoods solely for them. We've been asked to go in and swim at their neighborhoods, and so that also brings in customers as well.
Right. That's interesting. That I know the drowning prevention, I should say, I guess, is a big issue even nationwide. So your ability from a marketing point of view, along with the public service point of view, is really strong. Well, we've come to time to take our first commercial break. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and continue this conversation with Shawna and Alex about their business, what they do, and talk about some of their philosophy. So please stay with us. We'll be right back with you.
Lone Star Community Radio is ready for the summer. If you or anyone you know is looking for a summer internship, Lone Star Community Radio is a great place to learn the radio and TV business. Contact the station at info@irlonestar.com or call the station's message line at 936-647-3776. Lone Star Community Radio offers a great opportunity to those interested in learning about the radio world.
Statistics show that 1 out of every 6 Texans struggles with food insecurity and hunger. And many people don't eat enough fruits and vegetables every day. The Better Living for Texans program is here to help you learn how to make healthy menu choices, save money at the grocery store, prepare quick and delicious meals, get more good nutrition in your day, and get more physical activity. Classes are fun, friendly, interactive, and free, and taught in English and Spanish. We are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, helping Texans make their lives better.
A Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's radio station with talk, music, weather, and traffic for Montgomery County. Have a question or comment about one of our shows? Want to know how to reach a host? Just contact the station at irlonestar.com or call in and leave a message at 936-647-3776. Get involved with your community with Lone Star Community Radio.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour. This is Rick Schisler. I'm your host. And we're in the middle of a conversation with Shawna and Alex, who are the owners of Manta Swim Academy. And guys, I've learned some things today about business. You guys are partners, both in the business and in your personal lives. And you've got a great blend of what's going on in your business. Shawna's still working on what we call the day job, and Alex is retired after a number of years, 28 years in the United States Navy. So it's an interesting blend. Let's back up a little bit, though. One of the things I kind of jumped over is you folks have some goals and you have a mission statement, and I think they really say a lot about a business. So let's back up. Your goal is what? Is to do what?
Basically, our goal is to bring water awareness to our local community. However that may be, we feel that there's an important need that the community understands that survival in water, not just pools, because we have a lot of gullies, ponds, and so forth around the area. We have Lake Conroe here. People like to go down to Galveston. You have the waves and so forth. We just want individuals to know, not just for kids, but for adults as well, that there is should be a healthy fear of the water, especially when you're using it for recreation. So.
Yeah, I think you make an excellent point. I recall that I was taught at a, I don't know, young age, don't remember when, the deep respect for the water.
Yes.
And I've been in some situations that, one, I shouldn't have been in maybe when I was younger, but I was in them, but I knew how to survive them.
Right.
Right.
And then eventually I could have fun, but still shouldn't have been. So there is a fine line, but that's age.
Right.
Age, you begin to realize, hey, you may know how to get yourself out, but maybe it doesn't work. And the mission of your business.
We basically want to preserve life at all costs in the water. And I know that's simply said, but it takes a team of the parent, the student or the client that we're trying to train, and also us as well, to get the individual to that point. And we understand it's easily said, but it's a little harder to do. But it's, again, a skill that we feel is a necessity in life.
I ask you this, and it just kind of popped in my head. You have your clients, of course, parents, but children, and at a very early age, and then children and adults. I mean, you've got such a wide range of clientele,
Right.
which you have to adapt to, on a regular basis, I'm sure, as far as teaching them. How do you adjust? I mean, I'm sure teaching a baby how to swim or drown-proof themselves is different than taking a 12-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 25-year-old. What's the challenge there?
So I feel like it's easier to teach the babies. There's a time when kids learn how to be scared. And when they're younger, they typically just do whatever we ask them to do. When they get a little bit older, they've gotten fears either from their parents. We see that a lot. Mom's scared, so I'm scared. And so they are a little bit harder to teach as they get older. Adults are not impossible, but they are the hardest, I feel like, because they have every fear. And although most adults that come to us want to learn, so they're willing to work to overcome that, they are the hardest. So yes, it is hard to separate. So in our business, we have people that teach the babies and we have people that teach the adults. Alex is in charge of the older, and I'm in charge of all the littles.
So that's the way you accomplish it. You split the duty on that. That's interesting.
right.
It's kind of like going to see a doctor or somebody. We have different types of doctors, pediatrician,
Right.
and so, I have a wellness doctor now, senior something wellness having to do with being older. And I see the difference than my internal medicine doctor. Both are great doctors,
Right.
but they just to know the information and evaluation. So that's what you've done, is you've sort of divided it up so you can respond and know your client better just from the
Right.
beginning. That's interesting. That's interesting. The focus of your business, and I was reading through your things here, is the vision of your business is to encourage confidence and self-discipline. How do you do that? Now, I'm not going to ask you about a baby. Maybe there's techniques.
There are.
Okay,
So with toddlers, I like to use the toddlers, the babies too. We tell them every day how great they are. We tell them every day that they can do this. We tell them over and over and over again. So our lessons run for the little ones 15 minutes, 4 days a week. And so it's the repetition. So they hear it for 15 minutes every single day, how great they are and that they can do this and that good job. And so the confidence comes because they know I'm telling them constantly how great they are and what they can do and that we know they can do it. And oh my gosh, you did it. And so they hear that for 15 minutes. And the older kids, they hear it usually twice a week for 30 minutes. They hear, you got this, you can do it. And so hearing it over and over, repetition, then they believe for themselves, oh, I know I can do this. Yeah, I did it yesterday. And yeah, I did it the day before yesterday and it worked out perfectly. And so just over and over and letting them figure out, oh, I can do this.
that's interesting. What about adults?
So I would say the concept is the same, but more so the positive reinforcement that, yes, you can do this. And one thing that I like to do is show them, hey, I demonstrate, you do with me, and then I'll critique. And then after every lesson, we like to speak to them and say, hey, what do you think? I mean, what did you do well today? What did you didn't do well today? And okay, next lesson we'll work on that. But when you go home, lay on the floor and let's do the stroke real quick. We try to keep a upbeat and a family environment to our teaching, and we feel that that's brought us to success so far.
I sense that it's very important to keep it positive.
Yes.
Yes.
Even when there's a failure, you
Yes.
gotta spin
Yes.
that to be the positive.
Yep.
You can learn.
You know,
from-
one of the things I want to touch on just briefly, and you folks obviously know it, and it's what you deal with every day, is drownings. I think a lot of the public doesn't know what a threat really. I mean, we know if someone drowns, but there are a lot of drownings in our country, and I have some background because I worked at the YMCA with the YMCA for a number of years in Houston, and that was the goal, was to reduce drownings every year in the Houston area. So talk to us a little bit about, so people can get a sense or really understand that drownings, they're happening.
So probably the biggest thing that I hear is, oh, well, I'll wait until my child is a little bit older to put them in swim. And unfortunately, drowning is the leading cause of death for children, accidental death for children 0 to 5. So there isn't really time to wait, and it only takes 30 seconds to drown. So giving them survival swim lessons is giving them the gift of time. So even if they're only able to flip on their back until you come, that's time that they wouldn't have had if they didn't know how to do that. So drowning happens, like he said before, in lakes and rivers and puddles, in toilets, in bathtubs. I also hear about not having, like, well, I'll just watch my child all the time. Well, if your child has ever gotten in your purse and wrote on the wall, that's a lapse of supervision, and that's all it takes to drown. So we're very passionate about this.
Yeah, no, you said that very succinctly. I had a personal experience where it happened to be my godson, but they were having a birthday party, and all the parents were, and he slipped away.
Yep.
And down towards the deep end, hand over hand along the side.
Yep.
And I noticed him going down there, and I walked down there, and all of a sudden he was dropping down in the water.
Yep.
And the good news was I didn't have to jump in, but I just reached way down in there as far and pulled him up, and
Yeah.
it's he just out of sight, out of mind.
Yep.
It's
So-
easy to do.
And it happens, like you say, in a flash, and that's what
Yes.
people, I think they miss that, the fact, like
Yes.
you say, and I like the idea, have you ever gotten in your purse, pulled out something and done some damage somewhere? It's a good point, good point. Well, let's switch gears a little bit. You guys have been in business how long?
So actual business, we've been teaching, both of us, for over 20 years, but we started the business. This will be our second year with it actually being a business. But we've been doing this teaching for 20 plus years.
What's the secret to success, to be successful in business, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think to be humble. This industry is not a new industry. So again, we're involved with the Survival Swim Network and reaching out to those who've done it before you, and again, taking all those lessons learned, and not just taking the lessons learned, but tweaking them to fit your needs, basically. So.
Any other comment on that?
I would say that treating each child as if they're your own helps a lot. Parents can see that, and so I think that from a business standpoint, just staying down to earth and being willing to work hard, because it is hard work. That's for sure.
Don't treat them like they're a number,
Yeah.
basically.
Right,
Yeah.
So.
right. Well, it's a life skill that is so important, and the fact that I remember my swim teacher, I didn't have one. They just threw me in the lake. But anyway, it was a different time. Things like that happened, but they were there for sure. Okay, we've got a side job for Shawna, full job for you. Looking down the road, what is your end game? What is your potential exit strategy? What is it? Why are you building this business?
Basically, like I said, we were sitting around the pool one day and saw that there was a need for swim. That's what got us started. We are looking to expand into other sports as well. I've coached basketball, softball, baseball, and I love doing it. So we're looking at building a facility that will incorporate all these things for kids in training, so they can come somewhere to train. We are working right now with quite a few people, excuse me, to see how feasible that is for us to do in a timeline and so forth. So I want to see a larger athletic training facility for Manta.
So that immediate goal is to build a facility, a special facility.
Yes.
And then where does it go from there? Is that, I mean, when you exit the business, I'm a believer that when I start a business, I want to kind of know what my exit's going to be. May change along the way, but to know so my decision-making is pointed in a general direction of where I want to go.
So
Any ideas?
Yeah, so one of my children is actually one of the owners. She's also she's in the Marines right now.
Okay.
And so she's an owner, and I would love to eventually dump on her and whoever else is involved. Like,
We won't share this broadcast
yeah,
with her.
right. She
Dump
doesn't
on
know
her.
that yet. But a couple of our other kids are involved in it in different ways, and so they've all are learning, like you said, learning the business early in life, and all of them have an interest in and have learned to have the same passion for us of drowning prevention. And so I think that they would take over the business. I would hope that they would take over the business and keep it going.
And that has its own challenges to go through.
Right. Correct.
So a generational business, that's fantastic. Family businesses are unique, and they can do well and be a special blessing if handled properly.
Yes.
Well, we've got a tight labor market. Do you all employ or use other people? You mentioned family, so I don't really, that at this point, do you go into the labor market at all? Try to hire people?
We do. We've hired 2 different people already, and they're just our booking people and our books people. And then we will be hiring more coaches this year, normally as summer coaches, but we'll actually have to bring on some more full-time coaches just because it's more than both of us can handle on our own. And so we'll have to bring in some coaches this year.
Now, do you have a process that you follow, like, as far as the hiring application? I mean, something that at least you can pull out of the drawer when you go to hire and just refresh your memory and say, here are the steps?
Yes, we have an application. They have to attend training, and then they have to, again, come back and train with us. So, or get certified and then come back and train with us. And so, yes, we do have it broken down. And then we have an employee manual that we follow as well, that we had written up and a lawyer to approve. So that's kind of the process as of now that we'll follow.
No secrets to finding the right person?
So
I mean, what's right for
it's-
y'all?
I mean, we definitely need the right fit for the business, because
Right.
you may be the most skilled person, but you may not just fit in with what we're trying to develop here. And again, we're trying to keep it a family orientated. We want people to come to us and say, yes, we understand them and we accept them as part of our family. That's how in depth we want to be with our clients. But definitely the interview process, there will be a lot of scrutiny on that individual, and hopefully, I mean, the person a couple of people that we select this next couple of years, it'll be beneficial for us both.
Right. That's what it has to be. It's a two-way street.
Yes.
Every day, all day.
Right. Correct.
Well, you mentioned before we started the show that you have a fundraiser coming up, and I was interested to hear about that. Can you share with us a little bit about your fundraiser?
So we partnered with a foundation called Hope Floats Foundation, and they provide scholarships to underprivileged, underserved areas. So we're partnering with them. So we help raise money for we call it our bucket. And so all the money that we raise goes to scholarships for children in our area. And so our fundraiser coming up, it starts actually today, and it'll end on January the 8th. And it's with Krispy Kreme Donuts is also partnering with us on this. And so you can buy donuts for yourself, or you can buy donuts for a police officer. We're calling it Save a Child, Thank a Police Officer. You will be able to buy donuts for either yourself or for a police officer, or both. And then part of that money goes into the scholarship fund for children in our area to be able to swim. Because last year we ran into a problem where tons of people need to know, want to know, but don't have the funds to do it. And so we're really trying to bridge that gap here in the Montgomery County area, so that we want everybody to be able to take lessons. Right. And so that's what our fundraiser is for the month of January. Right.
That's fantastic. You know, no one should be denied. Well, there are many things, but the swimming and the drowning, and we live in a part of the world here where we're so close to lots of water. Right. People don't even realize that. I'm amazed. I drive down any road in Montgomery County and have it on the map in the car, and here's a little body of water here. Yes. Here's another one. Here's another one. Yes. It's just amazing, especially west. Yes. As I go out west. And like you mentioned, we, of course, have the big elephant in the room is Lake Conroe. Right. I mean, so water is all around us.
One more thing on that fundraiser is we're saying thank a cop as well, or thank a police officer as well, because the 9th of January is Police Officer Day. And so we want to be able to give donuts to the police officers. I know it's kind of cliche, right, but it is something to say thank you, because tons of times when a drowning happens, they're the first people to show up and respond. Right. And so we feel that it goes hand in hand with our company, that, you know, we know that those are the people that have to see the bad days and get to see the survivors as well. And sometimes they're the ones performing CPR. And so we do want to reach out and say thank you. And so this is a chance for us to raise money, but also say thank you to the law enforcement in our area.
Right. That's great. Wonderful. Good time of the year, too, to be
Yes.
generous in our gifts.
Yes.
Well, as we wind down here, and I've really enjoyed the conversation, I always ask all the guests that come through, what does Montgomery County look like in the next few years to you as far as business growth? What do you see, since this is your primary market, for your business and just business in general?
Well, basically, we see it exploding. Like Shawna said, excuse me, we had a lot of clients come to us, and right now it's two of us full-time working. When we say full-time, she has a full-time job, but it's two of us full-time when we hired during the summer. But we had a lot of interest, so that's why we hired more. And we see nothing but growth, especially with us, with Manta Swim Academy, but in the Montgomery County area as well. Nothing but growth. You can see it. You alluded to it earlier. You see nothing but growth. So we're anticipating that as well for the local area.
Shawna, you see anything different, or?
Oh, I think that Montgomery County is growing huge. This is one of the reasons why I came here. Not on the business standpoint, I just see Houston pushing this way. And so we're super excited to be able to service the Montgomery County area. And yeah, I see nothing but growth all around us. Like you said, the business is going up, houses, neighborhoods, apartments, all going up. So we're super excited about the growth in Montgomery County.
And, you know, I leave with our audience and both of you with an encouragement. It is our community. We are growing. I was born and raised in Harris County, Houston, and I saw it 20, 30 years ago like this is today. It's not like that today. Right. And people are coming here because they have a reason, right, because it's a great place to be, great place to live. The city of Conroe and the other cities in the county and towns, I had someone the other day really kind of sum it up, and I'm sure I'll stumble all over it. But basically, he came here from out of state, and he says the acceptance of people were so nice and friendly. And I said, well, you know, he was from out west. I thought maybe he was from New York or something. But he really, you could tell it affected him, right, and helped him make the decision to be here. Yep. Well, I want to thank both of you so much for taking time and sharing with us your business, the Manta Swim Academy. If folks want to learn more about you or contact you about swim lessons, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can go to our website, which is www.mantaswimacademy.com, or they can email us at mantaswimacademy@gmail.com, or they can call us at 936-530, let me let Alex help me.
936-330.
Sorry.
9516.
Yes.
You and I share something.
I
That's
know.
numbers too. It's the name and the numbers with me. I think someone told me just not keep stuff in my head. I don't know.
Right.
But again, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks
You've
for
got a
having us.
great business. It's fun to learn about it, and thank you for sharing your story. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we go to the bottom of the hour break, I want to remind you that a copy of today's show, podcast, videocast, will be posted in a couple days. It'll be all over social media. Just look for the Weekly Business Hour page. And if you want to re-listen, or perhaps, which would be wonderful, share it with another business person so they can learn about this business and learn about their business. Second half of the show, we're going to the mailbag. We've been trying to do that for a couple weeks, but our conversation has run a little bit long. But Warner sent in a question now several weeks ago. The world seems to be moving faster and faster, and I'm having a hard time keeping up with all the changes in business. What can I do to stay up with the game? And it's a wonderful question, and hopefully we'll have a time to discuss it today. And then my one best consult tip of the week is how to build a world-class employer. So please stay with us, and we'll be right back with you.
Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's radio station with talk, music, weather, and traffic for Montgomery County. Have a question, comment about one of our shows? Want to know how to reach a host? Just contact the station on irlonestar.com or call in and leave a message at 936-647-3776. Get involved with your community with Lone Star Community Radio.
Hey, tune in to the Bridge Podcast TX Tuesdays at 11 a.m., where we are connecting commerce with community, interviewing business owners and leaders in the community, allowing the audience to peek behind the curtain of what inspires, motivates, drives these individuals to have meaningful, positive impact in this community. For more information about the show, log into irlonestar.com/TBPTX.
Don't forget to download the Lone Star Community Radio app from your Google Play or Apple Store. Bring Montgomery County's community radio with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM. That's Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. If you are on the computer, bookmark irlonestar.com as your internet radio station. A Lone Star Community Radio. Broadcasting 24/7 from the heart of downtown Conroe, Texas.
Hey y'all, it's DJ Mike from Dan Simon, Texas. Join me Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. as I count down the top 10 Texas Red Dirt songs that are packing the dance floor. I'll be featuring local artists and the story behind the hits, shows in the area, as well as new songs that make you want to dance. It's Dance Time in Texas with DJ Mike on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5 KCZW and 106.1 KZCC, Conroe, Texas, or online, irlonestar.com.
Does your company have needs that can be met by an employee who is dependable, hardworking, enthusiastic, motivated, cooperative, respectful, and punctual? Conroe Independent School District Special Education Department can meet your needs by connecting you with potential employees that have been preparing for a lifetime of employment. We have numerous individuals seeking paid and unpaid work experiences. If your company is interested in seeing how we can meet your business needs, call Conroe ISD Special Education Department to find the best employees for you at 936-709-7671.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour, and this is Rick Schisler. I'm your host of today's program. We just finished what I think is a great conversation with Shawna and Alex about their business, the Manta Swim Academy. And if you missed that conversation, I encourage you to re-listen. Later in the week, the entire show will be posted, be available out there on Facebook, YouTube, and all the other social media sites, as well as the site for the station here, irlonestar.com/TWBH, the Weekly Business Hour. So please take a listen, and as I said just a bit ago, share it. Share it with someone else in business, and perhaps they'll become a listener as well. Also want to remind you that if you're here in the Conroe, Montgomery County area, you can sponsor the program. Well, you don't have to live in the area to sponsor, but if you have a business, it helps you to be a sponsor with us. We have a great recognition package for those that sponsor us. The station is a nonprofit, so you're making a charitable contribution, which is always nice to do, and supporting great community radio right here in Montgomery County. If you have questions, just drop me an email at onebestconsult@gmail.com. That's onebestconsult@gmail.com. Well, let's go to the mailbag. The last couple of weeks, I've kind of been hamstrung. Our conversations were good, just like today, and it just went a little bit over, so we didn't get to Warner's question. But let's take a few minutes and dig into. Warner said, the world seems to be moving faster and faster, and I'm having a hard time keeping up with all the changes in business. Very, very true statement. There are lots of changes going on, and they happen very quick. What can I do to stay up with the game? Well, my advice to Warner and anybody that feels like they're on a treadmill and not able to keep up with the changes that are going on right there is the first and foremost, make sure that you personally and your business are open to change. So many times, small business people, as well as others, will kind of hunker down and they run their business and they do it the same way day in and day out, year after year, okay, decade after decade. And, that model did exist, I think, once upon a time. But today with technology and communications and societal changes, there's just too much going on. And you need to open yourself the best you can to more change. The challenge, as some of you know, is we're all, I guess, to some extent, all of us as human beings, resistant to change. And overcoming that resistance is what's so important. Hey, we all like to be in our comfort zone. And I get that, right? I love my comfort zone. Be in my office, it's quiet, I can work, I can write, I can talk, and it feels good. But if you're going to have your business and you're going to grow and thrive and possibly even keep it alive in some cases, you've got to be open to that change. You've got to be willing to step out of your comfort zone. And don't forget, as an entrepreneur, you bought into the concept that your business would never be static. Now, what do I mean? Well, you start the business on day one, and it's an idea, just like we heard Shawna tell us about Manta Swim Academy and Alex. They were sitting around the pool one day and started talking. Kids were swimming, and Shawna mentioned they had a near drowning incident with one of the children. So they put together an idea, and they started a business. And that business is growing. They actually hire other people to work for them now, and it keeps growing. And they have a vision to grow even larger. So they're in the middle of change. And I dare say that change takes place a little bit every day. So if you're not in that mode, I don't know if you should be an entrepreneur because you're just subjecting yourself to change along with a lot of other things and other challenges. So ultimately, your business is going to be different if your desire is to grow and survive as well. So check into the change and realize that. And secondly, really more on point is that, or more of the reality side of, other than getting out of one's comfort zone, be willing to in a positive way, is look at your processes, look at your people, other things in your business that are broken or they're not working as well as they could, and they need some change, right? They need to be updated. They need to be reassigned, perhaps replaced, process people. You've got to be willing to change those if you're going to grow your business successfully. So the map is really right there in front of you. And this is what I want to tell Warner and anybody. Be willing to get out of that comfort zone. Realize you're an entrepreneur. You started a business, in many cases from scratch. And third, look at your processes, look at your people, and the fact that you may already do that, and you change, you update. You're already in the middle of change, and maybe you don't realize it. So it's very important that you continue to look at change. Don't change for change purposes. Change for what will do the best and serve you and your business in the best way possible. Well, Warner, I hope that helps you in your business. I wish you much success. And of course, I encourage you as you go down the road and you're able to implement some change, let us know how it's working out. We always want to have that ongoing communication and feedback. We're always here to help any of our listeners, giving them a general idea how to meet the challenges that all of us face in business today. I'm now going to switch gears, and I'm going to do my best consult tip of the week, how to build a world-class employer. This is going to be some simple ideas. There are many, many books and resources available on how to do this, and you can get out there and you can work at it. You can hire consultants, but I think it starts with some very simple ideas, premises, if you will, to build the business. And I think the first and foremost is that you need to dedicate yourself to only letting the A players, the best people on the bus being your business. Set your mind that you're going to hire the very, very best. Now, look, don't default and say, well, this is the best that came in today, and this is the best because we need warm bodies. If you're going to go down that road, and I understand what takes you there, I've been there early in my career, but ultimately, when you don't hire the best, ultimately, when you don't hire what you consider and need as an A player, then you're defeating yourself. And even in today's labor market, you need to continue to look for the people that will add to your business, the people who fit your business, and stay the course. A lot of pressure to just hire people. A lot of pressure to say, well, maybe we can do this and we can train them, or maybe we'll just change the job description. And all I can say is bless you and wish you the best. But if you want to be a true world-class employer, and I think if you have 2, 3, 5, 10, 1,000 employees, any of those numbers, you can be a world-class employer. And that means that ultimately you have a real chance to make your business, even with 2 or 3 employees, a world-class business, which is worth so much more, whether you're owning or selling the business. There's no doubt about it. Also, a little tip I learned from our friend Mel Kleinman, who's a regular contributor to this show, and in my opinion, one of the foremost leading experts in the area of hiring people and training them and building what he calls a world-class employment, is his unique employment proposition, UEP, Unique Employment Proposition. Okay, what does that mean? Well, it's pretty simple. And if you stop and think about it, if you haven't already done it, you're going to go, wow, how did I miss that? The question you need to answer to build your UEP is, what is it about your business that would make somebody want to work for you? Okay? And this kind of came up in our conversation with Shawna and Alex about attracting the right people to your business. Now, this is not just some story of the week that a business somewhere in Iowa or California or North Carolina has been able to get all these great people just to show up their door, stand in line, get on a wait list to work for them. This is about your business and you building a business. Important asset in every business, some more than others, the people you have. And the fact that you design the culture of your business, you work that culture, you build it. You build an environment as well as a job, what they do on the job, how the job works, whether you're in a production line or you got salespeople, whatever, that attracts people, which typically if you attract them, they'll stay. And one of the ways you do that is the third point I want to make is to practice the law of reciprocity. Understand that employment, that employer-employee should be a mutually beneficial relationship. A mutually beneficial relationship should exist between the employer and the employee. Now, on its base, it means you pay somebody to do a certain job for you, right? There's an exchange of value there. But there's a lot more to it as you build that business if you're trying to become a world-class employer, if you're trying to reduce turnover. It goes deeper than just they show up, punch a clock, do a job, punch a clock, go home, get a paycheck every week or two, and in turn, you've turned out so many widgets. There are lots of things as an employer that you can do to build on that mutual reciprocity and things that you should expect from the employee. And we could go on and on about that. And finally, and most importantly, and again, I've seen too many people, too many small businesses kind of sweep this aside as sort of a popular flavor of the month idea because, business books come out and trends and all this kind of stuff, they're fads. And that's talking about culture. And I think culture is really important. It's not something that needs to be talked about. It's something that needs to be done every day. You set the attitude in your workplace, or you should, and you should care about it. It's kind of like your children watch what you do, and then they mimic it. Well, Dad did this, Mom did this, I do this, right? They learn. Well, that's one of the elements of building a culture, is how you, on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour basis, run your business and what you show your employees, your relationships with customers, vendors, and the employees. Culture needs to be a good, positive place, which in turn, right, will attract people, et cetera, et cetera. So take consideration of those 4 items. I think they can help you set up your unique employment proposition, UEP. Be picky at all times, regardless of the labor market, the people you bring in. Practice the law of reciprocity and realize that your culture is so important. And one of the tips I always tell people, fill it with recognition. Recognition is so important, particularly in times like we're experiencing today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us today, and I especially want to thank Shawna Campbell and Alex Jones of Manta Swim Academy for sharing their story and the things that they've learned along the way. I sense they're going to have a lot of success as long as they stay the course. Please put a note on your calendar to join us next week, right here on Monday at 11 a.m. And in the meantime, stay engaged and always keep your focus on your business. Thanks.